is a new day and the latest heroic marathon is here. So similarly to how we had the high corrupted time and the high occult time races, we now have a race for the beloved High Master Karma Dragon. And now HMK is basically a regular Karma, but just with a lot more HP. But if you want to see all the skills, it is just Karma Revenge with chance of absorbing the opponent's attack and dealing ×2 damage. He does have Karma Yin, which deals damage to all opponents, and then Karma Yang, but I'll have to say the heal is not really used very much. But anyway, he has an interesting set of elements, and obviously in those respective arenas, he can be a very, very scary pick. But with this being a marathon, this is different to regular heroic races, and inside these marathons, you will go against players in a leaderboard. But in order to guarantee that you get High Master Karma, you will have to get all the way up to lap 50. So not just lap 15, it is lap 50 to get the main reward dragon guaranteed. However, saying that, we do have tons of rewards before lap 50, so like 100 orbs on lap 47, 75 on 45, 50 on lap 43. So even if you don't end up finishing the race fully, as long as you pick up a decent amount of orbs for the dragon, you could always try and trade for it, or trade out the High Master Karma orbs out for a different heroic VIP. You could do that as well. So there are a lot of orbs, banquet boxes, and if you want a general idea of where I ended up in a previous marathon, I got to like sort of about this stage here, and that was without me spending too many gems and not really being that active. So if you can get to like 36 without really too much struggle, you'll still get a decent amount of rewards. But if you do have the gems to spend and you want to get all the way to 50 and guarantee the dragon, you can do that. But the opponents that you get in this race are going to be very much random, because the players that you go against, as far as we know, there is no way to determine how that gets decided. All that we know is you are in a group with random players, and you'll see that at the moment I'm in 5th, and that is purely because I have not been able to log in too much so far today. Been very, very busy. But that being said, even if you are very busy, that doesn't mean that you are guaranteed to lose or anything, because again, your leaderboard might end up actually being pretty easy. But moving on to the actual nodes, laps, and quests themselves, we will go through each and every one of these quests, because of course you'll need to know how to do every single one of them. But before you do anything in this heroic marathon, the first thing that I'd suggest is getting up either Ditlep or Deatlist or any sort of heroic race guide. You'll see that on Ditlep, if you open up the main homepage, you can then find the heroic race guide. You'll see that we've got 9 days, 13 hours left, and we scroll down. And then once you scroll down, you have the option to pick the current lap that you're on. And so in this case, we're on lap 6, node 6, but the only quest that we have left is this battle quest. And you'll see that this battle quest has a 3-hour timer. On these really long battle timers, these are the ones that I'd recommend that you either go to sleep and wait on, or alternatively, these are going to be some of the most worthwhile to skip using gems. Now, everyone can get gems whether free to play or pay to win, but 3 gems to skip like many hours of wait time is, in my opinion, worth it to make more progress. So that is why, as you see there, I just skipped that battle for 3 gems. And you know, it does add up if you keep doing that over and over and over again. But if you use it specifically only on the longest battle for each of those laps, you're probably going to be in for a good time. So now, we are on lap 7, node 1, and you'll see that the first quest here is getting items by collecting food. And most of the quests are pretty much the same as regular heroic races if you've played a regular heroic race before. But one thing that I will say is that you need to be very mindful when you are picking the food and the dragons that you're hatching, and also the dragons that you're breeding. 'Cause you'll see here that I've got the option to regrow these bluebell bouquets, but one of these at least, or a couple of these farms, have a different food option, which in this case is the 3 million piranha plant, I should say. We don't want to be planting those if we want to give ourselves the best chance of not getting stuck on this collecting food node. We want every single one of our farms to be full of the cheapest food, which is the bluebell bouquets on the right there, as you can see. And the reason for that is just pure and simply because they have the shortest cooldown time, which means that even if you don't get an item from them straight away, because there's only like a 10% chance of getting that food item, it means that you can just do it again and again and again. I do have a farm over here as well that I don't actually mind putting in a bit of a longer timer on that one. So since I've pretty much filled all of the farms with the shortest food, I'm just going to regrow all now, which makes the process a lot easier. But I did get all of the items that I needed. There was no cooldown on that one. Now lap 7 node 2, I will give this a quick check. So like if we were to click lap 7 and then scroll down, it says lap 7 node 1, there is no cooldown. That's fantastic. Lap 7 node 2, however, does have a cooldown, believe it or not. Even though there's only 2 items, there is a cooldown on one of these items. So this is breeding, and breeding, hatching is, in my opinion, some of the most annoying questing that happens in these events. But just as usual with these heroic races, heroic marathons, the best combination that you can use for this is gonna be Terra x Terra, because just like with the Bluebell bouquets, it is the shortest timer that we have. And even though each breed and each hatch that you do with Terra Dragon eggs is only a 10% chance of you getting the item, it does mean that you aren't going to get stuck at any point. So again, make sure you use 2 non-empowered Terra Dragons. So we go over here, pop in 2 sets of Terras in each of our breeding dens here, and then we just keep rebreeding over and over and over again until we get 1 item that we can get from this lap 7 node 2. And the reason why I'm not going to wait for this one is because the wait timer on that is 1 hour and 6 minutes, as you can see there. So once we collect this first breeding item, it doesn't matter what we do. We could pray to every deity that has ever existed or maybe not existed. We could do a secret shaman ritual, and it would not matter because that item is not going to appear again until that timer of 1 hour and whatever it is, like 6 minutes, has completed, and then we will be able to potentially get another item. So there you go. Did you just see that pop up there? That is our breeding item. Again, there's only about a 10% chance of us getting that from Terra Dragon eggs, but now we cannot get another one of these items for another 1 hour and 6 minutes. So rather than me waiting while you're here and watching, I'm just going to skip this one. Maybe I would have waited if I was on my own, but since we're here, I'm going to skip that one for now. Next up, we have lap 7 node 3, and then again, if I scroll down, you'll see that we have this feed dragons quest, which this is an annoying one because this does actually have a waiting time of 50 minutes, and because there are quite a few feed items, this one's going to be more on the expensive side. And so once you played these events enough, you will sort of get a vibe of which ones are going to be cheap to gem and which ones won't be straight away. Typically, these feeding dragon quests, you want to do all of them the normal way without skipping, because like if we open this up now, you'll see that either we wait 50 minutes or we spend 14 gems, which is a lot of gems. But alternatively, if we get to the next one, which is lap 7 node 4, there will be hatching eggs and no wait timer. Then there's going to be league battles and no wait timer. And then the final one is going to be lap 7 node 6, which is more battling dragons. And so you want to try and not take a break on any of these fully until you get to the battle dragon section, because each battle dragon section is going to be like an hour wait, maybe longer. But that means that all of these others, like you could have waited on the breeding dragons bit, of course, 1 hour and 6 minutes, come back, wait another hour on feed dragons. But you can imagine that if you're waiting an hour each time and sometimes you can't log in straight away, that's going to put you very, very far behind with all of these tasks. So ideally, you don't want to be doing that. So again, purely just because you're here, I'm going to skip this one. I would never, ever, ever, ever recommend that you do this. It's purely because you're here with me right now that I'm going to do this, and I am quite behind anyway. But never do that on your own, okay? It's only for the sake of showcasing what to do in this event for you. So next up, like I said, we've got lap 7 node 4, and we know that there is no cooldown on this one. And so you can use longer timer eggs on this. However, like I said, the best thing that you can do to avoid getting locked out on this quest, having to wait for any wait time ever is just to use Terra eggs. And now if you are doing the hatch quest, either you can pop some in the breeding dens, or you can just go straight to get egg, gold, Terra like that. Whatever works out better for you and you find better to do during your race, make sure you do that. And then any hatch terrors, you can just sell those, but you are just trying to get that item pop up when you place the dragon into the habitat. So if you place the dragon into the habitat and you don't see a flower, you know that you didn't get lucky that time around. So you didn't get an item. And so then you just have to do this again and again and again and again until you actually do get the item that you want. So again, with hatching, with breeding, with food collecting with the shortest timers, it's going to be roughly about 10% for each of those. And so, as you can imagine, 10% is not that high of a chance, which means that you will be doing this a lot. And I do mean a lot. Like you'll see here, we've only got 3 items that we actually have to collect. But those 3 items, they could take us 10 minutes of just placing and placing and placing. Even if we go straight into the hatchery here, go get egg, Terra place, because you've got to do it for every single one. So get item, Terra egg place, gold, Terra egg place. So it is very, very repetitive and manual work over and over and over again. But we must do it. And so, you know, if you feel like you are getting unlucky, trust me, I've had it before where I've done this 40, 50 times in a row and not gotten a single item before. Although, sometimes you might get 3 items in a row. So there is no way to know exactly how long it's going to take for you to do these hatching and breeding and food collecting quests. But of course, the more slots that you have available and open, generally the faster it's going to be. So like the more hatchery slots you've got open, the more habitat spaces you've got to put the dragons into so that you can not have to do this part quite as much, the faster it's going to be, generally speaking. So the more room you've got, like at the moment I have like no space, so I've got all of these dragons such as my high flying dragon and my Michonne in this habitat. Ideally, this habitat would be completely free and would be used exclusively just for hatching Terra dragons, but we don't live in a perfect world or society right now, okay? We are running very low on space, so I understand the struggle of the players. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and skip doing this quest because obviously we are not getting lucky with this one right now. So let's give it one more round of hatching, and if not, I guess I will move on and see you in a moment once I have suddenly and magically finished doing all of these. But yeah, man, this game can be very mean sometimes. Look at that. Solid zilch. Alright, that took like literally an extra 5 minutes, but we just got our 3rd item there. So as you can see now, we've moved on to lap 7, node 5, and we move on to the league battles section. And now this could be make or break for some players. But if you didn't know, league battle opponents actually max out at dragon level 40. So you see I've got a level 70, a level 30, and a level 69. But the enemies that I face will cap out at dragon level 45 starred. So leagues are based on your player level, not your dragon level themselves, which means that you could have like level 5 bajillion dragons in theory and face opponents that are level 30 because you are also a level 30 person. So the idea is for league battles, you do not power level or over level until you have a team of dragons that can be any level 40 dragon team in the game. So as you can see, I've got 2 dragons that can easily deal with anything, and my Pookie in the middle is just there to try and get rank ups for free orbs, basically. So that is what I do in the leagues. I never ever have an issue. But if you are a new player, then you need to get a team that can beat any set of league opponents you ever come across, which isn't easy to get straight away, but within about the first month, I can guarantee you can get that done. But anyway, moving on to node 6, now we have battle dragons, and this is the same as the node that we started on, but just on the previous lap. And you'll see that you have to do the battle, you do the battle, and then we have to wait an hour, and then we can come back, do another battle, wait an hour, come back, do another battle. For these battles here, if I had saved my booster spin, this would be a great time to use it, because the booster spin does give you the possibility to maybe skip the entire node. So rather than you having to wait an hour, then an hour, then an hour, and maybe even 6 hours, you could in theory if it lands lucky, you could just skip all of these battles completely. So typically I would save the skip for your battles, and I would do it after, say, you complete the first battle, and then maybe then try and use it. If you have 0 gems, maybe you'd use it towards the second half of the battles to maybe just skip the, you know, the most expensive or the longest one anyway, I should say. But generally speaking, you just use it on the battles. If there is ever another really long lap and node, then you could consider using it on that one. But typically, if you see the get item from Battle Quest, that is going to be a good time to use your spinner. And the more of those that you can skip potentially at once, the better the use is going to be. So that is pretty much all that I can actually physically show you, because I am not spending 38 gems on skipping the rest of these just to go on to lap 8. I'm sorry, I've already spent far too many in this lap as it is. I already feel sick just showing you some of these quests here. But if we do want to see what the nodes and missions are in the upcoming laps, you'll see that these heroic marathons have they're very pattern driven. So like if we go to lap 8 now, because that's where we're going to be after we do our battles, we go lap 8, we scroll down. Lap 8 node 1 is going to be collecting gold. And though I can't show you this one, it is very, very simple. You see the gold symbols above your habitats, right? Literally just click the ones that have a gold symbol above it. That is it. And, you know, if you click straight away when the habitat is only just filled up, you're probably going to have about a 10% chance of getting the item. However, if the habitat is full or as close to full as you can get, then you will have a higher chance of getting the item. So that is why I always highly recommend only clicking on the habitats that have the gold symbol above them, or more specifically, habitats that are full or close to full, because then you have a much higher chance of getting the item straight away. If you are a new player that struggles with this, the best thing that you can do is place down a ton of like really low level terra habitats and fill them up with dragons. You see I've got like a bunch of terra habitats here. Like I've got this one at level 5, I've got this one at level 6, I've got this one at level 5, and then I've got a bunch of just like low level habitats. All of these generate gold quite quickly, and so I can use those as part of these events if I needed to. But I've just got so many habitats that, well, I don't really have to worry about it personally anymore. But if you are someone that struggles with that, that is what you can do on those collecting gold quest sections. So then lap 8 node 2, we have another league battle. And the thing about league battles is that if you finish off the set of league battles that you have, so you see on our board here, we've got 2 combats left and we have 2 enemies that we can fight. So if we were to finish off these 2 battles right here, we would actually get a reset on all of these. We'd get some gems as our reward. We'd get 6 gems as the reward, and then it would give us a whole new board of enemies, and we would get 3 combats back. You can use this to your advantage to get multiple league battle quests done at once. So if there's ever a node later on where you have to do like 3 of these, or maybe even 5 of these, we would be able to do that, because like if we do these 2 battles, we get our refresh, and then we can do another 3. So that's 5 league battles that we could do right now if we wanted to. I don't want to, and I don't need to, but do be aware that once you've used 1 combat, the timer will start ticking on that 3rd combat to gain energy back. But if you do a battle between that, I believe that the cooldown refreshes on all of it. So do bear that in mind. It's generally better to just either at this point not use any until it fully fills up, or in a case like this one where we've only got 2 battles, you can just do them anyway and get the refresh and it doesn't matter. But definitely keep in mind how many opponents you have and how many combats you have remaining, and how or if you can actually get your refresh off or not to help you during these races. So that would be the node 2 one, nice and easy. You can do that in like, what, 15 seconds? Very nice. The one after that is going to be lap 8 node 3, and we'd be back to collecting food again. However, this is why it's so important to use these guide websites, because this shows you that there are 6 items, but a pool of 4. So you could only collect 4 items at once, and then you'll have to wait 23 minutes, 20 seconds before both of the other food items have spawned in to collect those. So you could collect 4 items, but then you will not be able to get the final 2 items until 23 minutes and 20 seconds have elapsed. So always use a guide when you are going through heroic races, heroic marathons. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there at your food just like collecting, and there will be absolutely no benefit to you doing so because it will be impossible for you to get another food item. So do not do that. It will be a waste of your time and you will hate the event. So don't do that. But that is going to be lap 8 node 3. Then we have lap 8 node 4, and you'll see that this is very similar again. It's going to be hatching 3 more eggs that might take 15 minutes, but there is no minimum timer, which means there is no cooldown, so then you can go straight onto lap 8 node 5. But this time is 2 breeding dragons, but no cooldown, which is great. So don't worry about the wait timer. The wait timer, ignore that. It's a bit misleading. The only thing that you really need to worry about is how many items you can get at once and what the minimum wait time is. So this minimum timer is what you want to focus on. So this one, since there's no minimum, it means that we can collect both items and we can move on straight away once we've collected them. And then you're gonna finish off again with a node 6, and it's gonna be more battling dragons. But this one is 4 battles, but a minimum time for all of the battles is gonna take 6 hours unless you skip it with gems. So it's gonna be pretty much the same on every single one of these laps. Lap 9 node 1, feeding dragons, which nice and easy. It's just feed up a level 1 dragon, but you're gonna have to wait an hour because you're only gonna have 15 items that you can collect total, but there is a pool of 9. So you can collect 9 and then you're gonna have to wait for the rest. I would not recommend gemming that one. Lap 9 node 2, we have 3 eggs to hatch again, no cooldown. Lap 9 node 3, you'll see that we have 2 league battles for you to do that time, but no minimum timer, so you can do that straight away. Lap 9 node 4, collecting 6 food, no minimum timer, you can go straight away. Lap 9 node 5, collecting gold, there are 10 items you need, but only a pool of 7, so you have a very short wait time of 15 minutes on that one. You might as well just wait for that one. And then back to battles on node 6. So you'll notice that pretty much every single node is going to finish on a set of battle dragons. This is basically the filter for players. This is going to be the one that is going to require generally the most logging in and the most diligence, and this is probably going to be the decider as to whether you win the races or not. But like I mentioned, generally the best thing for you to do is not take big breaks until you get to the battle dragons section. The only exception would be if we have like this feeding dragons one, but this is a wait time of like 6 hours, then you could easily, like, you know, go to sleep, go to work, whatever it might be, and then come back. But just to give you an idea, this is a 50 lap race, of course. So rather than us just looking in like the first 10, let's go to lap 40, just to give you an idea of how the later laps are looking in this event. So we've got lap 40 node 1, we have 4 league battles, and this is a bit misleading. It says there's a minimum wait time of 1 second. That's not true. You can just do all 4 of your league battles straight away, but 4 league battles is higher than what you actually have in terms of your energy refresh. So this is going to be one of those times where, oh, I don't know why I clicked quest, but this is going to be one of those times where if you have to do 4 of them, you want a situation like this to be present at the time. So you can pre-plan your battles around this and your energy regens around this. So definitely be aware of when the next set of league battles are coming up, just so that you don't have to waste any gems on these battles if you can. Then next one we've got is lap 40 node 2, which is feeding dragons, 62 items, but no wait time. We love to see these. Feeding dragons is so easy and so quick, and no cooldown. Love it. Lap 40 node 3. This one, however, we hate. So this is breeding, but a pool of 4, number 6. So you're gonna have to ideally wait the 2 hours 13 minutes, but you can collect the first 4 items, but you're gonna have to wait on the last 2. This one is aids, but at least you don't have to do tons of breeding all at once. But straight after that, you are gonna go into a hatching eggs one, which is gonna be a pool of 4, but total items that you need is 7, and the minimum timer on this one is 5 hours, because you are gonna have to wait for those 3 items. So this is one way you can actually take a big break on this one. So what you do is you go in the game, you would hatch your eggs until you get the 4 items that you need. So you've got all these Terra Dragons hatched and you can sell the little babies, right? So imagine we've gotten 4 items and then you're just gonna shut the game off for 5 hours, come back and then do the last 3 hatches. There's not really a lot more that you can do about that apart from skipping with gems, but I don't really recommend it. So that one's gonna be a waity-tatey probably. And then directly after that, you're going to have another wait timer because this is more collecting food, but pool of 8, number 16. So you can only do half of this pool even. So this is going to be a really expensive one to gem. I really don't recommend gemming this one, but a minimum wait timer of an hour, 33 minutes. So you will have to wait a considerable amount of time for node 5 as well. But it's quite a lot. So it's going to be 5 hours, 6 hours, but there's no wait timers apart from that, really, apart from, well, we've got the 2 hours as well. So it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, pretty much 9 hours stacking up at that point. And then you've also got lap 40 node 6. And this is a pool of 10. This sucks. And it does mean that if you have a lot of things to do in your day, these ones will really bite you because you have to log in as soon as your battle is ready every single time. Minimum timer on this one is 20 hours. But for this one, there will be one singular long battle in all likelihood. So as long as you skip that one and you diligently log in for the others, it won't be quite that. But this lap alone may end up taking you a day, if I'm honest. Like, if I'm considering actual IRL responsibilities when you're actually going to log in, lap 40 might genuinely take you a day, but it depends on how much you're willing to gem, how much you're willing to spend in general. But that is another question I get asked a lot with these heroic marathons. How many gems is it worth it to spend on this? That choice is completely up to you. And I think the biggest deciding factor is going to be, well, where are your opponents? Because your opponents might be on lap 11 right now, they might be on lap 25 right now, or they might be on lap 4. So I would very much say that the lap that you get to in this race should more or less come down to wherever your opponents get to. If your opponents are completely inactive, just pick a lap and go there. But for the rest of us, if you just want to try and guarantee the heroic VIP high master karma, it's going to be down to where your opponents get. So I hope that you have a lot of gems saved up. I did have 800, but then I spent them on skipping the empowerment for my lovely, lovely Fatalis, just so that I could get the rewards for his full quest line, get the 100 Jokers back as well. And he is E5, and who doesn't love a lovely ghosty looking E5? So that is the reason I have like 80 gems less now, because I'd skipped that empowerment. And also, what a horrific time for them to have an Empower Happy Hour, am I right? Like, we waited so long for an Empower Happy Hour. I've got so many Jokers that I want to use, like legendary ones. But I also really wanted to get Wrong Hole empowered as well. There's just no winning with this game at the moment with their happy hours, so I just had to do it. But, you know, in terms of the Heroic Marathon, who wins will primarily come down to how diligent you are with logging in, and secondly, how many gems you have to spend. Thirdly, it would be, are you spending your gems in a smart way? A smart way of spending gems is to skip one of the longest battles, not skipping every single battle. It would be skip the long battles only, skip the long ones only that are really cheap for like 3 gems. But aside from that, it is going to come down to you logging in every hour, doing these battles, and doing them on time. But a lot of us are going to be busy, so a lot of people just aren't going to log in diligently, and that is why you should keep logging in. You know, there's another 9 days, 13 hours left of this event, and so I highly recommend that even if your opponents like mine right now are on lap 11, that doesn't mean they're going to stay super active for the whole event. So just keep logging in, see where they get to, see where you get to, and hopefully you could come first. Or if not, just get enough orbs that you're happy with your results anyway. But outside of that, there isn't really much else to note. I mean, we do have a vampire available in the Wizard's Hollow, but it is bio-augmented. He's okay. He's got Leech Fang and Vampiric Origins, which uses a random skill of its vampire comrades, which can be okay, but he's kind of whatever. He's fine for some of the arenas, but he's still a vampire at the end of the day. If you manage to get him out of Hollow, well, good luck. But I would not recommend wasting your gems on this holo, or not very many while we have the Heroic Marathon on. But of course, that is completely up to you. You don't have to listen to my advice, but I would say the better place to spend them, if you will win, would be the Marathon. Because random Vampire holo is not going to work out for you. You'll probably just waste your gems in the holo, if anything. But anyway, that is the major part of this guide for now. We do also have the arena that's currently ongoing, and yes, we can get 105 gems if we get level 6 chest. We are on pace for level 6 chest as usual in my alliance, but if you are in an alliance, you definitely should be trying to hit level 6 chest during the Heroic Marathon, because, I mean, it's either 100 gems or 30 gems, and you want to be getting the 100 gems every time that this is on. It makes a huge difference, so try and get yourself in an active alliance. And like, I have an awful arena right now for me, but we're still able to contribute a decent amount. We should be able to hit our minimum before the end of the chest end, but make sure you're logging in and doing everything that you can for your alliance to try and help everyone out during the heroic races as well. So I think that's mostly everything I wanted to know. We do still have the maze event on, and as you can see here, we've got the leaderboard event ongoing. I'm at 83,000 because adding all the maze coins, adding all of the previous event stuff, and now we've got heroic race. Heroic race adds tons of points, so if you want to do well in your leaderboard, you do also have to be hard grinding the heroic race. You literally have to do every single event while this leaderboard event is on, and so if we get to... Imagine if we get to 100k points, that would be nuts during this leaderboard event. I mean, yeah, that'd be cool, but is it going to happen? We shall see if we actually come first or not. But I'm going to keep hatching a couple of dragons, maybe breeding one dragon in my third den, which is normally what I do. I'll normally have one dragon that I'll be like special breeding over here. And then if I want a very quick breed or hatch to come out, then I can just, you know, shove them in the hatchery at that time frame, get a guaranteed item for the race as well. At least it saves me one pesky, troublesome terror set of hatching, right? But I would recommend that you like keep all of your hatchery slots free, keep your breeding dens free, or just breeding terrors if you can. Aside from that, I think for now that is everything. I've gone through this many times before in the previous races and heroic marathons before this one, but High Master Karma is definitely one that you will want to try and pick up. If there is going to be a special event for him with skins, I'm sure we will see that soon. But for right now, best of luck. I hope that you get an inactive leaderboard. It's random as to who you're going to get, seemingly. But if you do want to pick up this dragon, I do wish you the best. Or even if you don't get a good leaderboard, I'm sure you'll find someone to trade with, because his orbs are going to be everywhere. So if you are going to get on the trading wagon, get prepped. You will have an easier time now trying to get his orbs. So anywho, if you need any other advice, let me know in my Discord server or in the comments. But this race is just like every other race. You just have to log in. So do as you want.